My name is Aisha Ibrahim. In our first story, the Electoral Commission says blame for the violence and related deaths that characterized the 2020 election must be laid at the doorsteps of the security agencies mandated to provide election security. According to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, who spoke at the EC IPAC Election 2020 Review Workshop, the EC is not in charge of election security and cannot be blamed for the deaths of 7 people in 5 centers during the 2020 election. Madam Jane Mensah is, however, urging the police to speed investigations into the killings to deliver justice to the families of those involved.
An exceedingly disturbing challenge also is the violence that occurred in about 5 centers and which led to the death of 7 citizens of our dear country. Though the violence was not widespread, 1 life lost is a life too many. And we say never again. Never again should we go to an election and have anybody lose their lives. Here also, there's a tendency for fingers to be pointed at the EC when security is not the core mandate of the Electoral Commission. I read the Constitution, and security is not one of our core mandates. I use this occasion to clarify that the Electoral Commission is not responsible for election security. Although the entire electoral process and its success rests on the shoulders of the Commission, our mandate as entrenched in the Constitution does not include security. We do collaborate with our partners, our security agencies, in their quest to carry out their responsibility of ensuring peace, law and order at all centers throughout the country. And indeed, we initiated a collaboration with the security agencies under the National Election Security Task Force as early as 2019 to assist the police in carrying out their responsibility. We need to define clearly, without a shadow of doubt, whose responsibility it is to guarantee security on election day and to place the responsibility on their shoulders. Additionally, we need to provide laws to ensure that the perpetrators of the violence are dealt with decisively. And I take this opportunity on behalf of the Commission to call on the Ghana Police Service to speed up their investigations and to bring the culprits to book. The families of the victims, the citizens of Ghana, and indeed the international community are waiting for justice to be done.
Chairperson of the EC, Jane Mensah, also touted what she says are the achievements of the commission she leads in the management of the 2020 election. She claimed that commission saved 522 million cedis for the taxpayers and that there were no recorded cases of COVID-19 during the registration or exhibition of the new voters register.
We need to recognize the fact that as a country, technology was deployed to enable a section of our society to check their registration details over the telephone at very little cost. In fact, for the first time in our history, registrants were able to check their registration details all the way to the election day. How this was achieved needs to be documented. And we need to highlight the fact that for the first time in our history, we managed to reduce the cost of elections by some 41% compared to the elections of 2016, in spite of inflation and hikes in prices. As a country, we reduced the cost of elections from $13 per head to $7.70 per head per person. It is not often that we hear such news, and how this was achieved certainly needs to be documented for posterity. We need to highlight the fact that as a nation, we succeeded in saving our dear country a whooping sum of 90 million United States dollars. That is 522 million Ghana cedis, at the time when the cost of elections world over keeps increasing. And mind you, these savings were achieved in spite of additional costs associated with the COVID-19. And here I'm referring to the procurement of PPEs and materials and the airlifting of our offshore items, which came at huge costs. And the fact that in 2020,
my colleague Kwekwa Asante was at this workshop and has joined us with more. Kwekwa Asante, run us through a number of other challenges and successes of the 2020 election, according to the EC chairperson.
Right, Aisha, according to Madam Jane Mensah, who has been delivering an outline of how the election 2020 went, they say that for them, the successes far outweighs the kind of challenges that came up in the lead up to the election, and they want Ghanaians to view the election as a success too. But they talk about some of these successes, and just like you played, and instead of 522 million Ghana cedis that they saved for the Ghanaian taxpayer, they say this election was totally funded by the Ghanaian government and the Ghanaian taxpayer without any donor funding. They say this is a huge, improvement from previous election when some of these election expenses were fully catered for by donor agencies. They say that during the registration exercises, and we know that there were concerns about COVID-19, they say that not a single COVID-19 case was recorded during the election registration process and also the exhibition of the voters register, and say this is one of the yeoman job that the Electoral Commission did. But they go ahead to talk about some of the challenges, and they say why they regret the death and the violence that characterized some parts of the election. They say they are not to blame, and they want the security agencies to take up those matters and investigate them to its logical conclusion. But they've also been talking about the minors who have been registering in previous elections. They say that this election as well, there were some minors and foreigners who registered, and we need to find the root cause of this and deal with it going forward. Aisha.
Well, that's my colleague Kwekwa Asante. There were some updates from the EC's meeting, IPAC meeting. Now to some news just in. Lawyer of Asokwa North MP, Joe Jachi, who's been defending his dual citizenship accusation by the NPP, has stepped down. Let's get on to Zoom and speak with our correspondent, Kwejo Nyakun, who's been following this for us. Kwejo, tell us more about this. Kindly unmute, Kwejo Nyakun.
Yes. So Aisha, you know that this case is by Michael Ankuman, a resident of Asokwa North, challenging the eligibility of the Asokwa North MP, Joe Jachi, and he said that the vehicle he used in getting to Parliament was fraught with some irregularities because at the time of filing to contest the elections in 2020, he was not qualified because he was a dual citizen both in Ghana and in Canada. So the case has been in court for some time now. On the 12th, that was the last day we were in court on the 12th of May, a lawyer for the Asokwa North MP, Abraham Amalba, raised an issue that the judge had made certain pronouncement, a certain comment that he felt that it was prejudicial to the trial. He indicated that the judge said that Joe Jachi needed to have got all his documents intact before filing for the case. And this, the judge indicated that he had not made any of such comments, and there are no records indicating that he even made such comments. But today they came to court to rule on an application that was filed by a lawyer for the Asokwa North MP, only for Mr. Hamamalba to indicate that he was no longer going to serve as lawyer for the Asokwa North MP. Let me read you portions of the motion he filed in court, that although your lordship refused my prayer to accuse myself on the grounds that you don't remember ever making the alleged comment, I remain of the strong conviction that there is real likelihood of bias, and my continuous presence in the matter as counsel with such a conviction will not augur well for the interests of my client and the administration of justice. And so, based on this conviction, I have intimated to the first respondent, that is the MP, of my inability to continue this his counsel. I hereby wish to withdraw myself from the matter as counsel for the first respondent, that is Joe Jachi. But in court, lawyers for the the appellant or the applicant indicated that it was a ploy, a tactic by the lawyer for the MP to delay the case, but they remain resolute and they will fight until the right things are done and justice is executed. And so the case has been adjourned to the 1st of June. Have
you been able to get reactions from the man in the center of this whole situation?
In fact, Aisha, the MP in question has not been in court ever since the case began. He's always represented by his lawyer, and so he has not been in court ever since this case. But there have been reactions from both legal representatives, from the applicant and then the respondent in here.
My colleague, Kwejo Nyako, with updates from the Central Region. Will bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. To other news, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo, together with some top military officials, are touring the country's water bodies to assess the progress achieved 2 weeks after the deployment of the military task force mandated to halt activities of illegal miners. The minister is expected to engage some community members, including opinion leaders, along with the river bodies, particularly the Pra River, which cut across the central, eastern, western and Ashanti regions. Government has declared river bodies and forest reserves as red zones or no-go areas. These renewed efforts by the Lands Minister is expected to return the polluted water bodies as a result of activities of illegal miners to normalcy. Some youth who spoke to endorse the banning of excavators and other mining equipment on the site. The youth alleged that some of the abandoned pits have claimed 10 lives within 2 months.
A soldier 24, a helicopter for him. I share senior Juman or Moya next year. Namasem ye tete. On my penina na adodan Kwakufado, and the Sumama said, a Juman or Moya. Na me baswa, you drew and potem say a minina many munita. What our bro Miss Lemo. On my penny, a good year I work for my year to know. On Kuntia, on my penny can say, may and choose a good year. Brunibeka, government are not against small-scale mining. On yet, Obia or Quotia said, Minister for 90 years near Minyaya, Musamunim, Minyaya, Kaya, put na play Nimbi. Now one can some work senior will put in my and 77 Eastern Region for a 2-man for Ghana mine for Naso, a easy Naso original say, and not the young Peninsula. Any a good year to a one sumu, and I say, year to a good year won't sumu, and I year did you ma a good year who are essay in Su.
Abujinapo is Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Now, hundreds of illegal structures along the Graphic Road, Odona and Accra Central have been demolished by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council. This forms part of measures to deal with flooding and congestion. Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Korte says the exercise, which includes a cleanup exercise in the city, the evacuation of encroachers and the pulling down of unauthorized erections, is part of the Make Accra Work agenda.
let us do the right thing. They are not authorized to be here and they have to go. That's all. So don't play this, the people think against me. But I'm saying that don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking of time frame, some of them thought you could have...
They have been given enough notice.
Okay.
In my vocabulary, I don't retire. If they come back, we'll move them. If they come back 20 times, we'll move them 30 times. That's it. Yeah.
Can you tell us what call for today's meeting?
Well, one call for it is that we want to ensure that Accra is clean. We want to ensure that Accra is like the Dubai that you want to go. We want to ensure that Accra is like the America that you want to go. Okay? So unauthorized structures have sprung up all over the city. And it makes it very difficult for even the sanitation or the waste management companies to even go about their duties. I don't know whether you've driven here in the evening. Ask Zoom Lion. They'll tell you. When you drive here in the evening, the waste that they generate alone is a problem. And I am mindful of the June 3rd disaster. I don't know whether some of you were there. It is something that we want to say never again. The rains are about to set in. And all they do from here, where is their waste bin? Nothing. They carry the rubbish, they go and put it in their door. And then when there's a flood, they come back and say, government is not doing anything. So I think that, as I've been saying, the media should help us to work together, not to, as it were, make it look like we are doing something bad.
So after clearing the place, do you have plans for the place? Or...
Yes, indeed.
MC for Kole Clotenia Jtaria has been giving further details on areas targeted for the next exercise.
To Accra Brewery from Central Police Station area. So it's constant engagement. We have started, and we've started with the markets and the lorry station. This is a special exercise led by the RCC, Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council. So we have a lot of security agencies supporting us. But this is something we'll be doing regularly, like I said. But their numbers is overwhelming. And that is why you see them on the street. I believe with this push, we'll be able to make sure people mind the place from early in the mornings, maybe even on shift basis, to make sure they don't return. Because this is not something that just happened. It has been, like you said, some of them have been here for some time. Yeah.
But according to them, this is impromptu. Why do you wake up one morning and then start demolishing structures when you could have given them time to make up?
That is not the case. Like I said, the numbers of them. So it's something we are doing on a regular basis. And we have our works engineer here. We go out sometimes over weekends in the evenings. We take photographs of these places and we do them. It's the sheer number of them in this particular area. But we are doing, it's the whole municipality. You have to go to Oxford Street, Salam down, some residential areas, and this sort of slums are, springing up. So there is the sheer number of number of places involved, and the actual number of people even at the places. So
let's now go to the Ashanti region and talk about health, because the region is recording increasing hypertensive cases among young adults. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran says persons between 30 and 40 years are reporting to health facilities with hypertension. According to him, poor lifestyles leading to hypertension is one of the leading causes of premature deaths nationwide. Ohim Interior has more.
Health experts say hypertension accounts for 42% of all deaths in non-communicable diseases in Ghana. The disease also accounts for about 20% of all cardiovascular diseases in Ghana and a major contributor to stroke. Hypertension is also one of the major comorbidities of COVID-19 in Ghana. Ashanti Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran says the condition causes 20% of all premature mortalities in Ghana. He is unhappy few people know their hypertension status. Dr. Tinkran was speaking at the launch of this year's World Hypertension Day in Kumasi.
Hypertension is one of the major non-communicable diseases, and it's one of the major causes of premature mortality nationwide. In fact, it contributes to about 20% of all premature mortalities in Ghana. And it accounts for about 42% of all the deaths that we see in non-communicable diseases. And one of the contributions, the major contribution to stroke that we have in this country is hypertension. Hypertension accounts for close to 19% of all the cardiovascular complications that we have as a country. But one challenge we have is that so many people are not aware that they have hypertension. And for that reason, most of them, by the time we realize, come with stroke and other cardiovascular complications. Unfortunately, if you look at the young adults, most of them, their BMI is about 30. Yes, some of them are sitting in front of me here. Yes, and you can see that there's a lot to do as far as lifestyle modification of the young adult in this country is concerned.
Occupational health psychologist Professor Kwesi Amponsah is calling for tighter regulation on work to protect the lives of workers. His call follows the release of the first global study of its kind jointly by the WHO and ILO, which showed that as many as 745,000 people died in 2016 from stroke and heart diseases due to long hours of work. Professor Kwesi Amponsah says the situation is much worse in Ghana, where employers compel their staff to work longer hours than their strength can take. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, joins us via Zoom with details on the WHO-ILO study. Fred, what are the details of this report?
Well, thank you, Aisha. The report found that for those who are working 55 hours or more, they were at a 35% higher risk of getting stroke or 17% higher risk of getting one form of heart disease or the other. And these people are mainly dying as a result of this. The report also found that a lot of these persons who were contracting stroke and heart disease were older persons. So what it found was that persons who were overworking themselves will not be aware, or they will not feel the effect of this until about 10, 15, or 20 years' time, by which time you would have been in middle age or be an old person. And the WHO says that this situation is likely to worsen, especially as we have COVID on our hands now.
And what are some of the recommendations? Can you share with us?
Yes, indeed. It is asking, it's giving out some 3 points which government employers and workers can together take to ensure that the risk of contracting stroke and heart disease is minimized, those that are associated with work. And the first one has to do with the government introducing or implementing or enforcing laws where they already exist, and regulations and policies that can ban mandatory overtime and ensure that maximum limits are put on working time. There are some workers who just need the money regardless of the impact that will have on their health. And so the WHO is saying that there must be some kind of regulation to address that. The other one is another collective bargaining agreement between employers, workers, and if governments are involved, the government or say workers' associations, so that some of these regulations are strictly respected. And the final point has to do with employees sharing their working hours among themselves to ensure that the number of working hours worked do not climb over 55 hours or more per week. And Aisha, the ideal time the WHO and ILO report states is a maximum of 40 hours in a week. That means you're doing about 8 hours. So if you came to work at say 6 a.m., by 2, you should be knocking off and be heading home. Maybe you get into traffic an hour or so, then you get home, you can be with your family and then relax, get a good sleep before you come back. What they believe is once that is done, you return to work stronger, sharper, and are more productive than being at work longer and being tired.
Certainly, Fred, this is an advice for you and I. And all of our colleagues. Thank you. Fred Smith is head of our help desk here at Joy News. Now, government statistician Professor Samuel Enim has stated that two issues that management of the Ghana Statistical Service takes seriously are the prevention of sexual exploitation, abuse, and financial inducement. Professor Samuel Enim made the statement in a speech read on his behalf at the face-to-face training of regional trainers for the 2021 population and housing census in Wa.
15,000 applications were received countrywide to take part in the 2021 population and housing census. After a rigorous selection process, 8,775 were selected for the virtual phase of the training and expecting to train 7,111 prospective regional trainers over the next 8 days. Narrowing it to the Upper West region, 262 regional trainers in the next 8 days will be trained, and they will then move into the districts to train 2,153 field officers who will be deployed to all parts of the region. Government statistician Professor Samuel Enim, in a speech read on his behalf by the curriculum reviewer, Professor Paul Nkegbe, stated that recruitment and selection process in the census is on merit. He further stated that the Ghana Statistical Service does not permit the exchange of sexual favors for appointments or placements, urging victims to report the incident to the appropriate quarters to be dealt with.
We also want to emphasize two issues that we take very seriously as management, which is the prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse and financial inducement. The recruitment and selection process in this census is built on merit. The Ghana Statistical Service does not permit the exchange of favors for appointments or placements. If anyone here is being threatened, pressured, or coerced to offer financial, sexual, or any other favors, please call or send a message to the Census Call Center and report the incident. The numbers are available on the website. Let us strive to ensure the recruitment and selection process is transparent and fair. We trust that all trainers and trainees will cooperate in this regard.
Professor Samuel Enim also urged them to be security conscious during the training.
During the just completed training of district data quality management teams, there were at least 3 reported incidents of theft of electronic devices. Please ensure that your valuables are securely locked in your baggage and your rooms locked in your absence. Immediately report if the locks on your doors are not working.
Upper West Regional Statistician Sister Jeremiah Derry called on the public to cooperate with them to ensure that the 2021 population and housing census in the region becomes a success.
So these people, even during their training, will be coming out to the various communities during field practice. And so we expect them to cooperate with them and give them the needed cooperation so that they will be able to practice whatever we're teaching them and be in the position to also go and teach. For our general populace, census is everybody's business. And so it is our responsibility to give out data for development. And we are encouraging all citizens to help us by giving their time and answering questions that our field officers will be coming around to ask them.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
And back in the studio in Accra, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban S.K. Bagbin, has urged members of the Joint Steering Committee of Santo Kofi, Akpafu-Likpe and Lolo Bisal traditional areas to properly invoke the jurisdiction of Parliament to thoroughly address the non-representation of the people of Sal in the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. He says although he presided over the House as Speaker, he has no voting rights and therefore did not participate in the decisions-making process on the floor of the House. Hence his advice for the delegation to officially petition Parliament. And, quote, I can only advise that you may have to come through the proper procedure to invoke the jurisdiction of the House to go into this matter in detail. and unquote. The Speaker, Alban Bagbin, was addressing the Joint Steering Committee of the South Traditional Areas when the delegation called on him in Parliament Monday. He explained the situation needed to be addressed in details to help preserve the country's budding democracy. Dr. Joe Adai, the leader of the delegation, says the visit was to brief the Speaker on the absence of a legislative representative for the people of the South Traditional Area in the current Parliament. It will be recalled that the Electoral Commission, through a release issued on the eve of 2020 elections, calls the exclusion of South to vote and elect a member of Parliament. Although voters in South Traditional Areas were allowed to vote in the Boem constituency for the presidential elections, they were directed by the EC not to participate in the parliamentary elections. Away from Parliament, insurance penetration in Ghana is yet to see a significant boost despite efforts by industry players. We have more for the Bank of Ghana's Financial Stability Review shortly in Business.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Powell. Insurance penetration in Ghana is yet to see a significant boost despite efforts by industry players. According to the Bank of Ghana's Financial Stability Review, insurance penetration remained at about 1% from December 2014 to December 2019. To increase penetration in the informal sector, Star Life Assurance is partnering Echima Kwauma Rural Bank to rope in small-scale businesses and traders. Nanaya Ojima has more.
Rural banks over the years have promoted financial inclusion, especially among the informal sector players. Though their involvement has proven beneficial, some needs of clients are yet to be met fully. Board chairman of Echima Kwauma Rural Bank, Patrick, also believes the introduction of insurance service will help bridge the gap.
I believe that in life, one also needs insurance. So AKRB and Star Life Assurance collaborating will give our clients a comprehensive financial cover in good times and in bad times. No matter your financial status, you will still want to have the best of education for your children. And when it comes to insurance, especially with the child education one, it is those whose financial muscles are weak that need it most. Because as the child progresses in his education ladder, the financial commitment also becomes a bit choking. Whilst we are helping the business to grow, we also help him to ensure that the unknown future remains bright.
Star Life Assurance is partnering Echima Kwauma Rural Bank to introduce the service to clients. Head of Commercial Business at Star Life, Alex Chumes, explains the mode of operations.
In order to get this thing done and done well, we needed to get our own people trained on our product lines who understand the community in which they are operating and understands the operations of Echima Kwauma to be doing the work. So we have our own people trained within the banking halls to do the selling. The kind of product lines that we have child education, we have the ultimate protection, we have the home call and the wealth master. All these are geared towards what the maximum protection for the family.
Nana Ojime's report for Joy News.
Now, gold mining firm Anglo Gold Ashanti is promoting the diversification of the Obuasi economy through a skills training program for indigents. The youth apprenticeship program equips individuals with employable skills and knowledge for the job market. As part of its sustainability goals, the company has trained 87 individuals in auto electricals, welding and fabrication, forklift operation, loader operations, amongst others. Emmanuel Asay has more in this report.
Young Sarah Wusu is now a loader operator. Together with her colleagues who have received similar training, she hopes to make a living out of it. Though scared at first, Sarah has now mastered the craft of operating heavy-duty industrial machines and is ready to face the industry.
Now I have knowledge in loader operation.
A loaded dump truck. And I'm a First day,
I was frightened at first, but I was encouraged to press on.
And I'm teachers for no more in crying to know. Skende, Nasa, Ehuno, a Swatika, Kana, Minya, Gidia, will say, meet me, aye. Companies, endorse for Ghana and no.
There are a lot of companies, so I will apply for a loader operator job and prove my worth.
No, Ebeconamic also, I met you say, Lord Danamico,
Senior Manager Sustainability, Emmanuel Beidou, says the training would help promote thriving communities as the mine resumes operations. He indicated Anglo Gold Ashanti's readiness to work with stakeholders to ensure mutual relations with host communities.
What we're doing through our corporate social responsibility and our community investment interventions is to roll out programs which will build capacities of people in Obuasi. Either in business or in skills for employment. So these people would not necessarily depend on the mine for employment or for business, but also to be able to look elsewhere. The training we're offering through the apprenticeship program is one way of achieving that. Some of them may probably will be able to set up some small companies on their own and then grow it. If you want to ensure economic growth in Obuasi, then clearly that is the way to go.
Krontihini of Dompase, Nana Kateche Bosompema Pentin, advised graduating members from his community to explore employment opportunities outside the mine.
Make use of the training you have received. Don't stay in Obuasi alone, but find opportunities elsewhere.
We pray for success in all your endeavors.
Emmanuel Lasey reporting from Obuasi in the Ashanti region.
And that's all in business. There's more coming up on the marketplace. But ahead in sports, Black Stars coach Asokwa North has denied claims that leadership of the Ghana Football Association imposed players on him. That's more coming up with Muftao. Don't go anywhere.
Time now to bring you some sports stories on Joy News. Today, I am Muftao Nabila Abdullah. Black Stars coach Asokwa North has denied claims that the leadership of Ghana Football Association imposed players on him, despite the position of the association's president that invited players must be vetted by the management of the national team. Media reports always seem to have stories about how the FAs want to add value to their players, forcing the coach to drop some players for those affiliated with them. Though veteran coach J.E. Sapon claims call-ups are influenced, Akono insists he is his own man. Media reports countless times have indicated that there is interference in terms of call-up for various national teams in the country. Recently, Asokwa North, head coach of the Black Stars, claimed he is his own man and decisions to call players to play for the Black Stars is solely determined by him and his technical team.
I'm the coach. I'm the one who is in charge of it, in charge of the team, the call-ups. Of course, football is not made by one person alone. Or, I have the assistant here that I do discuss a lot of things with. I have the video analyst as well, who looks at the players, who is better, who is not good, who can fit into what we want to do, and that is how we work. And so, based on these facts, we invite the players. All of them are doing well, don't get it wrong, all of them are doing well, but we look at what we want to do and how we want to play. And based on these facts, we invite them. I don't work alone. Football is not made alone. You yourself, you can even bring an idea. It's my choice to pick or not.
The position of Asokwa North is contrary to the several media reports that suggest that the leadership of the football governing body dictates to him on who should be part of the Black Stars. veteran coach J.E. Sapon claims no one can convince him that players selected to play for the Black Stars or any national team in the country have no influence from any member within the Football Association.
The teams are formed based on the technical ability of the players. And a selection is made looking at the team you are going to meet, the strengths and weaknesses of the team you are going to meet, who are fit at the training session to meet that team. So sometimes a very good player may be left out on the bench because of what the coach wanted and because he may not play the way he should play against that particular team. It doesn't mean that the player doesn't know how to play. But this is where a management member will go around. Oh, Nat, today I didn't see you in the team. So what happened? Oh, coach, the coach doesn't like me. You know, the coach takes money from the players. That's why today he sent me to go and buy watch. I didn't go. So he's annoyed. A whole lot of stories go around. And this thing moves into the citadel of the national teams. Charity begins at home. So the charity that is beginning at home, it ends at the halfway.
I see.
Yes. Nobody can deceive me or tell me, Coach J. Sapon, that there's no interference in the national team. Nobody.
The Black Stars will face Morocco in Rabat before hosting Ivory Coast at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium next month. And still on national team news, but now to rugby. Ghana's rugby national team has begun preparations for the Rugby Africa Cup despite administrative issues with the Rugby Football Union. My colleague Asare Bediako was at the team's training ground and came through with this report.
Mission Kampala has begun in earnest.
Get up, Prince, faster. Listen, your legs are too slow. You have to react faster. React, Prince. Get up, Prince. Get up. You need to start on the ground. You need to start on the grass. You start down. Now get up. Pump yourself up. Pump yourself up, Prince. Pump yourself up. Push, Prince. You are there. Now go up, Prince. Go up. Take it up. Hold down, Prince.
The Ghana Rugby football team are leaving no stone unturned in their preparation for this year's Africa Cup, which comes off in Uganda. The Eagles lock horns with the host nation on July 10. The best two teams make it to the 2022 Rugby Africa Cup, which serves as qualification to the 2023 Rugby World Cup. The Eagles are in high spirits and focused on their training regime despite the recent developments in Ghana Rugby. Here is Yaya Lukman, a key member of the team.
The Ghana Rugby bank account has been locked, but still we are here. He's pushing with his own money and we are still going forward. And we will prove people wrong, what people are thinking about him, or those people that stay away or turn their back on him, like we will just prove them wrong. We are here, we are training. If things were going wrong with Herbert Mensah, like we won't be here today and be training.
Lovemore Kuzurera has been in charge of the Eagles since 2016. The astute trainer from Zimbabwe is grateful to President of Ghana Rugby, Herbert Mensah, for his support.
As a coach, we have had everything that I requested for. You know, when you go to a country here in Africa, it's difficult. That when you request for something, there will always be some problems. Oh, we don't have money, we don't have this, we can't afford to do that. But every request that I've done as a coach of equipment, some that even came from UK, to some that even came from South Africa, everything that I've needed as a coach to make sure this team goes forward, I've always received it. In time. So it's the same thing that's the key thing. If you have an administrator that supports the vision of the coach and what you want to achieve, that's the best thing you can get in this world.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News today. Now, American gospel singer Phil Thompson is encouraging young worship artists not to mimic others, but rather focus on their individual talent and develop it. In an interview with Pastor Ato Accra on Joy FM's devotion program, Joy Time, in his presence Monday, he described every worshiper's talents as unique, and therefore they should stay true to that.
to simply usher in the presence of God and move out of the way so that he can do what he wants to do. If you take center stage, you're in the way. And I'm speaking to each artist who's a worship artist. You have something in you that the world is waiting for. So tap into what God has placed inside of you and do not try to mimic anybody else out here because you have the secret sauce.
Wow. And
the world is waiting for you. The world is waiting for you. Keep that in mind. The world is waiting for you to release what you have. You have something nobody else has.
And that's how we wrap up news today on Joy News. And for more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. You have all the updates of the developing stories. Here are some of the stories you'll find on myjoyonline.com. Those who created the national security monster have lost control. That's according to Kwesi Enin. There is more when you log on. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Up next, Marketplace. Stay tuned on Joy News.